Please comment where you are watching in the world. I just got coffee with one of my girlfriends, and she told me the kind of dating story that makes you stare at the foam in your latte like it's a crystal ball. Holy __. Buckle up, because this one has layers, and they're all sticky. She met this man in early September. Let's call him Lewis, because that's close enough and also somehow perfect. You know that beginning part where everything feels easy? That was them. He was attentive in the way that makes you suspicious later. Flowers on a Tuesday, good morning texts with the little sun emoji, calling when he said he would, asking thoughtful questions like he'd done a background check for romance. She's not naive. She's the friend with the good gut. She told me, I don't know, this one feels different, and I believed her because her read on people is usually bulletproof. 2 weeks in, they had the talk, exclusivity, official, the whole soft launch. He was the first to say, I'm off the apps. He said it like a toast, and she clinked her glass to it. He met her friends, they liked him. He helped her carry groceries. Her neighbor clocked him and gave the nod. The little things. And then the big things, date nights, family birthdays, a playlist he made with her name in the title like he was 16 and earnest. I'm painting the picture here because you have to understand the drop to appreciate the ground rush. Fast forward to December 30th. Her birthday. She wakes up to a stack of messages, group chat love, her sister's voice note, a reservation at 8, where something sparkly text from Lewis. She's floating around her apartment in a towel robe doing the birthday pregame. Face mask, hair, outfit try-ons, a little dance in front of the mirror. Ping. Instagram DM from a name she doesn't recognize. Hey, sorry to be weird, but are you dating Lewis? She told me the way her stomach fell was almost physical, like a lift dropping, because a DM that starts like that never ends with just kidding. She clicked through to the girl's profile. Pretty, very pretty, same vibe even, dark hair, almond eyes, smile that does that tilt. My friend said, my heart dropped and I wanted to pretend it was a prank. It wasn't. In less than an hour, they were on the phone. The other woman sounded nervous but steady. He matched me on Bumble, she said. He set up a date for Friday. He told me 2 days in advance because he likes to plan, and he said Friday would be a late night with his friends so he wouldn't text much. You see the architecture here? The premeditation. Setting the alibi before the crime. Friday happens. He sleepovers with the new girl. Saturday he spends all day with his girlfriend, my friend, acting normal. They go to the farmer's market. They split a croissant. He rests his chin on her head in the line for coffee. And then while my friend flies to Miami for the holidays, Lewis takes the other girl out 2 more times, publicly, as if soft launching a second girlfriend. The audacity is aerobic. Like it jogs. Wait, I said. How did she even find you? Because that's the part that still spooks me a little. The other girl got suspicious, bless female intuition forever, because my friend's name kept popping up on his phone screen while they were together. Same name as hers. That's the part that messes with my head. They share a name. The universe was trying to write it in all caps. The other girl searches the name, finds my friend's page, sees a photo of her and Lewis together from mid-December, and goes hot cold. That's when she sends the DM. So now it's my friend's birthday, and she's on FaceTime with a stranger who looks like her. Not identical, but you know how an algorithm will show you your own face back if you stare long enough? It felt like that. They compare timelines like detectives at a whiteboard. Friday night, his. Saturday brunch, mine. Tuesday late drinks, his. Wednesday movie night, mine. Tick tick tick. It's almost funny in a cosmic, awful way. He wasn't even original. He ran the same date structure twice. My friend calls him. He declines. She calls again on FaceTime because she wants to see his face when he lies. He picks up. She tells him, calm voice, birthday makeup on, hair done, what she knows. He denies. Then he starts crying. Not sobbing, the weird quiet cry men do when they can't figure out which emotion will keep you. He hides his face. Won't look at the camera. Hides like a toddler who thinks you can't see him if he can't see you. I would never, he says. You're being paranoid, he says. While another woman is literally texting her screenshots of their chat. She hangs up. He sends 2 manic paragraphs. The kind where the punctuation loses its job. I'm so __. Up. I'm a terrible person. I don't deserve you. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. Etc. etc. Redemption arc edition. And then poof. That's it. They never speak again. Which honestly, thank God. Closure is overrated when the opening was a lie. Here's what I can't shake. The girl he cheated with? She could be my friend's twin in a dim room. Same name, even the same nickname. He was shopping for a type, not a person. It's like he liked the template and tried to duplicate it, like copying a playlist instead of listening. That's the part that makes me a little feral. Because if you're going to betray someone, could you at least admit you chose someone else, not an alternate version of the same someone? The economy of it is disgusting. After we sat in stunned silence for a second, I asked my friend what she did immediately after. She said she took her lashes off and cried in the bathroom on her birthday, and then she went to dinner anyway with her girls because she refused to let him steal the night. She ordered a martini. She made a wish that wasn't about him. She blocked his number while blowing out the candle and handed her phone to her best friend like a reliquary. The next day she returned the hoodie he left at her place to the bottom of a donation bin because she didn't want that fabric narrating her mornings. People in the comments always ask, were there red flags? She swears there weren't. No late night vanishings, no weird my phone died for 6 hours, no missing weekends. He was good at this. That's a red flag by itself, I guess, but hindsight is a flashlight you only get to turn on after you already tripped. Okay, quick one before I talk myself out of it. Last night, I literally jumped out of a moving car in Docklands. Not a stunt, not a TikTok. Just dating in 2025. He was an hour late. Not parking's tough late. Full hour. I'd already done 2 laps of the food hall smelling 10 different countries and trying not to eat without him. He shows up with that traffic was wild face men wear like sunscreen and goes straight to a bow stall without asking what I want. Orders for himself, walks off with the buzzer. I'm just standing there holding my tote like a bridesmaid with no bride. I order my own. Pay my own. Not about the money, about the maths. We sit at a sticky table under fairy lights that pretend to be personality. He's halfway through his noodles when he goes, "So, you on Hinge top picks?" Before I can say nah, he shoves his phone at me. "Rate these." What should I say to her? He's dead serious, like I'm a consultant and this is a pitch deck. I blink. "Mate, I'm on a date with you." He laughs like that's cute and says, "You've got good taste, help a bloke out." He scrolls while I chew, like I'm background music at his shopping trip. Conversation never lands. He monologues about macros, talks up his brand presence, mentions an ex as crazy, ding, then lies about his height by 2 centimeters and thinks I won't notice. I notice. By dessert, his not mine, he's refreshed Hinge 3 times. I mentally invoice him. "It's late," I say. "I'm heading." He offers to drive me to my car. It's 2 blocks, but fine. Rain starts. That light spit Melbourne does when it wants to ruin your fringe without committing. We hop in. He starts the engine and, without even glancing, opens his DMs. "You secure though, yeah?" he says. Like, we're just seeing if we vibe. Numbers game. He reads a message from another girl out loud and asks, "Is this funny or nah?" He thinks he's a product. He wants feedback. "Can you pull over at the corner?" I say, calm as a librarian. "Just a sec," he says, accelerating. "I'll loop. Pull over. Relax, we're chatting." No, we're not. We hit that stretch where the Docklands lights smear themselves across wet asphalt and the city goes abstract. Tram bells somewhere, stadium ribs glowing like a UFO. He's still talking, still selling, still missing every signal I'm throwing with both hands. I hear myself say, all gentle, "I'm getting out." He laughs. Doesn't slow. "You're dramatic." I unclip. The seatbelt sighs like it knows me. Door handle thumb click. Air arrives, cold river breath. I open not wide, just enough. Pavement's doing about 10 kilometers per hour. "Wait," he says, finally braking, finally present, but he's a beat behind and I'm done playing in his lag. Step, slide, swear. Bitumen kisses the side of my calf. My palm skids, gravel and pride. I tuck like every netball coach said, shoulder into it, pop up running. It's not graceful. It works. He stops behind me, window down, voice doing that wounded thing. "What are you doing?" As if confusion were innocence. I don't look back. I trot to the curb, shake my hand out. Tram clatters past, indifferent. My heart is louder than it. I half laugh, half wheeze. Adrenaline tastes like coins. Phone buzzes, 3 question marks. Another. Then, "You okay?" Then, "You're being heaps extra." Then, LOL. The hydra of question marks. I block. He rings from a different number. I block that too. It's like whack-a-mole, but the prize is silence. There's a late-night pharmacy glowing blue like a sanctuary. I catch my reflection in the window. Hair feral, mascara holding on for dear life, a constellation of black specks in my palm. I start laughing, the shaky kind that bubbles out of your ribs whether you like it or not. Somewhere between a giggle and a sob. The security guard inside watches me pick gravel out with a tissue and nods like, seen worse. Dating's basically escape artistry now. I tell my reflection, and she snorts, rude but fair. Houdini had locks. I've got men who won't pull over. I rinse my hand at the chemist's sink, buy saline and plasters, tap my card with blood under the sticker. The cashier goes, "You right?" And I say, "Yeah, nah." But yeah. She smiles like a conspiracy. Outside, the rain's decided to try harder. I pull my jacket up, walk the 2 blocks to my car, and let the cold make me honest. On the drive home I keep it quiet, no music, just tires whispering and my brain replaying the role in slow-mo. It's ridiculous. It's also the most self-respect I've had in months. At a red on Spencer, I catch a glimpse of myself in the rear view and practice the face I'll make when I tell this to the group chat. Dry. Quick. So I bailed. Literally. At home, shower stings like truth. Plaster goes on. Phone is a graveyard of blocked numbers. I text myself the line, "If he turns your no into a debate, exit." Doesn't always have to be dramatic. Can be a walk, a tram, a nah. Last night it was a tuck and roll. Sleep comes like a cat, slow, then all at once. Docklands will still smear itself tonight. Men will still pitch themselves like products and call persistence chemistry. Me? I've got better reflexes now. Pull over when I say, or I will. We float up 44 floors in a glass vein. Dubai looks edible, sugar skyline, chrome moons. Hostess smiles like a concierge and a saint. Table for 2? This way, Habibi. Linen so white it glows. Cutlery aligned like runways. The kind of place where water has a sommelier. He orders with his elbows. Caviar he can pronounce, steak he can't. Medium plus, he says like inventing weather. I order something that won't stain a silk blouse. We talk in soft, expensive sentences. He is performative calm. Work is crazy. New deal, big client. Every noun has a comma and a price tag. The city hums through glass. The Burj outside is a patient needle. The violinist plays the same 3 chords of a love song you can rent by the hour. Then the bill arrives. His first card declined. The machine chirps, polite little beep that makes my stomach puck. He laughs. Ha! Tap again, Yala. The server taps again. Declined. He shrugs at me, conspiratorial. Banks. Always glitching. Walla. I hand mine over, not to save him, just to go home. Declined. My phone is on 4G funeral. Notifications about unusual activity arrive later than the embarrassment. The manager slides in with lacquered manners. He smiles with his whole training. So sorry, madam, sir. Maybe phones? Sometimes the network. His eyes slide to the reservation list like a tide chart. Another couple waits, glittering, rehearsed. Security stands 5 steps back, off black suits, hands like doors. We just need 5 minutes, I say. Of course, he says, already counting to 300. The politeness calcifies, thin shell on cooling sugar. 2 more attempts. 2 more chirps. The violinist changes key. The skyline glitters sharper, as if enjoying itself. He straightens. The posture arrives before the solution. See this watch? He holds his wrist into the light as if it's a relic. Gold face catches the chandelier and throws it back. 10K. He doesn't say dirhams or dollars. He says halo. The manager's smile does not move. Very nice, sir. And outside, he says, chin at an angle toward the glass, toward a city of cars that look like answers. 90K cash. I bought outright. The manager nods the way you nod at a toddler's drawing. Kalas, he says softly. We do this. You may leave a deposit with us. Collateral. We settle tomorrow when the system is stable. He gestures and security materializes like punctuation. A form appears, crisp as fear. He loves it. Loves the stage. Unbuckles the 10,000 story from his wrist in slow motion. Dictates serial numbers like holy verses. The watch ticks louder in the sudden quiet. The ticking feels biological, like a vein pulsing outside of skin. He signs with a flourish. Looks at me, waiting for applause. I try my card again out of spite, out of mercy, out of wanting, just wanting, to leave this glass. Beep. Approved. The machine prints a receipt, like a flag surrendering. He snatches it before the server can fold it. Parade mode. Habibi, he tells the manager, waving the paper like a victory banner. We paid. Bring the watch. Yalla. The manager's smile loosens exactly 1 millimeter. Of course, sir. The watch returns, sanctified by paperwork and his own need. He slides it back on with the intimacy of a vow. He wants to be seen fastening wealth to bone. We cross the dining room under chandeliers that tinkle too brightly. Security peels away. The couple from the list swans into our heat like we were a glitch. At the threshold he pivots, raises the receipt again in a little pageant, as if purchasing dinner has annexed land. In the lift's mirrored hush, we become 12 of ourselves. 12 versions of me with her mouth a hard line. 12 of him straightening his cuffs like he's shaking off consequence. The watch is quieted, or maybe I've stopped listening to it. He talks into the mirror. Banks are stupid tonight. My friends had the same. It's not a big deal. You saw my car. A laugh that expects a chorus. We should go again. Same place next week. I'll get us a better table. The mirror does not argue. It shows me a stranger who almost mistook noise for stability. Gold for ballast. A halo for a handle. The lift drops, LG a whispering fall. Tiny stomach lurch that feels like telling yourself the truth. This is not a problem with cards. This is a man who treats the world like a stage, me included. Doors open to lobby roses and desalinated air. The night smells expensive and a little fake. Outside, the valet runs, keys like bells. He gestures at the car with a flourish he thinks he invented. Shukran, boss, he says to the boy, performative magnanimity for someone else's wage. He turns to me, thumbs typing before the engine hums. Yalla next time, the text says gold watch emoji winking. I say nothing. I wait until the taillights make 2 blood commas and the road swallows them. I block. The screen gives no ceremony, no chandelier. Just disappears him. Clean. We matched on Hinge. He had 2 photos that looked like he had friends and one that looked like he had a tripod. Bio said, LA native, sushi snob, good chaos. I read chaos and should have closed the app. Instead, I said yes to sushi in downtown because I was bored and I own pepper spray. Tiny tempers show up first if you're paying attention. He was late and blamed downtown being downtown. Snapped at valet like valet personally invented traffic. Can you hurry, my guy? To a dude jogging in 92 degrees. Inside, the host said, 15 minutes, and he did the long exhale full body, like he's auditioning for a dragon role. I said, it's fine, and he said, it's just inefficient. That word, from a man who was 22 minutes late, is art. We sat. He asked if I'd ever had omakase, and then explained it to me anyway. The chef placed tuna, blinking it's gone. He took his first bite, moaned theatrically, then said, it's giving B+. He sent a roll back because the rice was off. He huffed when the server didn't instantly appear to witness his palate. None of it was loud enough for a scene, just little flares like pilot lights licking. Then midway through the nijara he goes, we should go back to your place after. You said you live in that new building, right? With the rooftop. He said it like he was ordering dessert. Casual, entitled, not a question. No, I said. I don't bring people home on a first date. He smiled like I'd gotten an answer wrong. Why not? Because no. Okay, but give me a reason, he said, and here's where the costume slipped. Like, what is the logic? You invited me into your time, why not your space? If there's no reason, then there's no reason to say no. It's a boundary, I said, not a thesis. He laughed, offended. You don't have to be condescending. You don't have to be persistent. He flagged the server with 2 fingers and a breath. Split the check, he said, eyes on me. Since you won't let me up. I deadass thought he was joking. He wasn't. The server blinked. I pulled my card out because dignity is pricier than Toro. I said, you asked me out. He said, and I showed up. I paid. It wasn't about the money. It was about the ledger he was keeping in his head where access to my home had a dollar value. I stood to leave. He followed. Outside, neon smeared the puddles, Broadway sign humming. He grabbed my elbow, not hard but claiming. Don't be like that, he said. Tone dipped in boyfriend rights we did not negotiate. I pulled back. He squeezed once more, test, warning both, and I said very evenly, take your hand off me. It's like he'd been waiting for that line, so he could flip to the next page of his script. You're ungrateful, he snapped, and some other word formed in his mouth, then another, and then he spit them at me. Slurs I've heard from men in pickup trucks, not men in $200 sneakers. They cracked in the air like plates. It felt old and hot and familiar in the worst way. You think you're arguing with a man, and then the historical chorus pours out of him, and now it's not about you at all. Now you're standing in front of a fire hydrant someone ripped open. I said nothing. I stepped off the sidewalk and rented a scooter with the desperation of a person who suddenly remembers she has wheels. The scooter chirped awake. That little thin mosquito ridiculous became a lifeline. I kicked and it grabbed. He shouted behind me, words chasing, bouncing off glass. I rolled down spring like a guilty idea, wind in my teeth, hair in my lip gloss. He walked after me, then jogged. I hit the throttle. The city turned into cuts. 7th Street, neon ramen, liquor store light, 2 guys arguing about a parley. Maine, sirens spooling somewhere, palm fronds ticking a window like fingernails. 9th, helicopter chop chop, that LA ceiling fan. A couple at a crosswalk glanced at me, concerned, then back to their night. I took a right because the walk signal blinked. Walk like God was my crossing guard. My phone started lighting up like a slot machine. Unknown. 10:38 p.m. Why are you making this weird? Another unknown. 10:39 p.m. You are wild fake, as then a number with 1 digit changed. 10:39 p.m. You think you better than me 'cause you are building? Hydra style. Cut 1 head, 2 more texts. I blocked. 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 10:40 p.m. Come back. I'm calm. 10:41 p.m. Deadass, you're overreacting. 10:41 p.m. I didn't even want to come up, lol. 10:42 p.m. Send address, I'll apologize. 10:42 p.m. Answer the phone. I kept the scooter between my knees like a prayer book. I cut onto Olympic into brighter light. Horns stacked. The scooter whined on a long breath. My hands shook so hard I almost missed the dip. I looked over my shoulder. He was there, smaller now, still moving, still enough. He yelled my name like we'd practiced intimacy. I thought, this is a chase scene without the score, just the city doing its city soundtrack. Siren, laughter, radio Spanish from an open window, tires whispering. The kind of night you remember later as loud, but right then it felt like everything swallowed his voice but left the shape of it. At the corner by my building, I hopped off, still moving. The scooter scooted into the curb like a tidy dog. I ran the last half block, heart somewhere in my throat. The lobby glass was a mirror, me streaked, furious, not pretty. The desk guard looked up. I said, "Stalker," and he pressed the door open and did not ask for the full report. Bless all people who don't need plot to offer shelter. Upstairs, the hallway smelled like citrus cleaner and someone's weed. The elevator mirrors showed 3 versions of me, all agreeing to breathe. In my apartment, I locked the door, then locked it twice more, then slid the chain. The intercom became a jump scare sitting on the wall, innocent and waiting. I stood there, phone sweating in my hand, as notifications kept appearing like roaches. 10:47 p.m. Answer or I'm coming up. 10:47 p.m. Apologize to me, RN. 10:48 p.m. You think you are safe? Then the worst one, casual and deadly. 10:49 p.m. I liked the art in your lobby. He knew the building. He didn't need my address. Of course he didn't. I'd told him my cross street, because women are trained to be polite even while building exit routes in our heads. I started screenshotting like a bureaucrat with a badge. All caps. Time stamps. Numbers. The slur. The threat. The one where he said my building's nickname like a password. I emailed Hinge with subject line, "Harassment and threats, please review." I attached receipts because women know paperwork can be a flotation device in a flood. I wrote, this is his profile. This is what he sent. This is what he said outside a restaurant on 7th. I CC'd myself because evidence deserves redundancy. Then I called my friend group for rings, then share location. Now. I did. In 5 minutes, my phone said they were en route, little dots crawling across a map like good ants. In the in-between space, fear did the thing it does. Arrived late but heavy. It didn't hit while I was moving. It waited until I was still. Men fear being used. Women fear being killed. I've said it 100 times, posted it even, but reading it on your own wall feels different. My intercom buzzed, and I jumped so hard my shoulder hit the frame. It was my friend's laugh through the speaker, cracking on purpose so I'd recognize it. "Open up, babe." I buzzed them in, and tried not to cry until their shoes were on my rug. Storytime, Soul Edition. We matched on an app that promises serious people. Okay, sure. We meet at a cozy soju place in Hapjeong, warm wood, Banchan already sweating, neon writing like it means it. He sits, looks me up and down, and opens with a diagnosis. You're whitewashed, right? I laugh. He grins like he gave me a compliment. No, like Michelle Obama vibes. So accomplished and black equals whitewashed? Math not matang. I sip water. He calls the server. Before the menu even lands. Food. Shots arrive. Before the first dish hits, he's clinking glass speed running for shots deep bragging. I can do 4 bottles easy. Can you keep up? Consent becomes weakness in his little TED talk. Just admit you're weak. I say, I pace myself. He smirks. That's not ambitious. Now we're on ambition. He asks my goals. I say I moved to Seoul, learned Korean, work in at 22. He squints. That's basic. Ambition means you're working on something impossible. Then IQ talk like it's a gym PR. I'm top percentile. He doesn't know the word percentile, but he loves top 1% men. Says it like a promo code. I say I want someone dependable, trustworthy, a provider of stability. He scoffs. Top 1%. You think you're top 1%? He smiles kindly while shoving me into a ladder. He negs like it's cardio. You don't work out, right? Just admit it. He guesses my alcohol limit, my waist size, my future divorce. Every time I answer, he moves the goalposts like a street magician. Heads I lose, tails he wins. Between shots, he lectures on objectivity, tells me I sound educated, so maybe that's why people think you're whitewashed. I remind him being articulate isn't a race. He says, don't be defensive, the universal gaslight is lullaby. Food finally lands. He eats like he's racing the bus, wipes his mouth, and announces a taxi for us. I blink. He points at his phone. Our taxi. My house is close. We can hang out and build. Build what, a court case? He adds, almost triumphant. I'm 32, older and wiser. His profile said 28. I say, you lied. He goes, age is just data. I'm honest. Predators love the word honest. I switch languages mid-sentence, because code switching is my pepper spray. I'm not going to your. He tries to reframe it as debate club. Give me one logical reason, just one. Boundary, I say. The server brings the check and looks at me like she's seen this movie. I take out my card, pay my share with surgical clarity. He watches, confused. The script didn't include me opting out. He follows me to the street, eyebrows performing innocence. Wow, you're really leaving because I'm honest? The city hums, somewhere over Hannum, scooters whining, a couple laughing under a GS25 awning. I put on my jacket. I'm leaving because you don't hear no unless it has footnotes. He says, you'll regret missing out. I'm top tier. I bow, a neat 15 degrees of goodbye, and walk. Outside, Seoul keeps glowing. Buskers, taxi lights, the river breathing cold. I pass a mirror of a black window and catch us both. Him behind, still explaining to his reflection, me ahead done. I tell the night, and the night answers back, okay kid. Go home. I didn't plan the line. It just arrived, fully formed, like a pint slammed on the bar. Tell your mum then. We were mid-argue, that low, tired sort that tastes like old tea. He'd been doing his usual shuffle, laugh it off, call me dramatic, say I'd misunderstood the banter. Only it weren't banter, was it? It were my photos. Screenshotted off my Insta, off my camera roll, the ones I sent in private, my body, my face, chucked on fetish sites under some grim little username. Lads I've never met leaving comments like they know the weight of me. And him, acting like it were daft, like I should be chuffed he had a fit missus. So I said, clear as the kettle's click, ring your mum. Tell her what you've done. He smirked at first, that sticky grin he uses when he thinks he can charm the rot out of anything. Don't be daft, Marley. Go on, I said. You're so proud of it. Tell her. Something changed in his eyes, swagger curdled then surged. He stood up, shoulders wide, did that daft pocket pat like he's got gravitas hidden in his jeans. Out comes a little knife. Not even big. Cheap thing that thinks it's a threat. He flicked it, winced when it stuck halfway. I didn't move. Put it away, I said, voice flat. You look ridiculous. He blinked, blade wobbled, and all the air went thin. It's not. I weren't. I'm not. The knife vanished back into his pocket like a guilty hedgehog. I'll tell her in person, yeah? Not on phone. Sound, I said, and I pulled my mobile out. Hit record. Set it on the table between us, screen bright as a lighthouse. Say it to me then. Proper. He watched the red dot like it were a laser sight. The room went quiet enough to hear the neighbor's telly through the wall. Outside, a Vauxhall alarm chirped, then shut up. His mouth opened, shut, opened. Then soft, like you were asking me to translate. Yeah. I posted Marley's pictures. Silence sat down with us, full weight. He expected what? A clap? An absolution? He lifted his hands like he were surrendering to a film crew. I've lost my job, you know. No car. I'm proper on my arse. My girlfriend, you're dumping me now, aren't you? I've got nowhere to go. There it was. The pivot. Threat to theater in a breath. Knife to puppy eyes. I kept the lens steady. You're 27, not 12, I said. Find a mate's sofa. He blinked wetly. Can I just stay tonight? On the couch. Quiet. Won't make a sound. I'll be out first thing. Please, March. Please. Don't be cruel. I could feel the old script trying to stage a comeback. Weaponized incompetence. Performative despair. The catalog of things he can't do, unless I'm there narrating. Can't book a GP. Can't wash a pan without war crime suds. Can't breathe unless I hold his chest up for him. I thought about all the times he'd made me the cruel one for not wanting to be his mum. Tell your mum had landed because he made me her for months. He reached out, not to touch. He's not that daft with a camera lit, but to hover near, like heat might change a mind. I'm honest, he said. Predators love that word. Honest once there's evidence. Honest because he thinks confession buys a cuddle. Ta for the honesty, I said, and watched his chin wobble like I'd cuffed him. I picked up the phone, saved the file, and texted it to myself, to my sister, to a Gmail called Rainy Day. Belt, braces, safety pin. Then I stood and opened the door. The hall light made a strip across the carpet like a runway. Out. He hovered on the threshold, pathetic. Where am I meant to go? Last chance, lad, I said. Walk. He went. Not with dignity. He's never met her, but with the sullen shuffle of a boy who's finally discovered consequences. The stairwell swallowed his footsteps. The building sighed and went back to being bricks. The flat exhaled. It was suddenly massive. Same four walls, same plant that's dying no matter what I Google, same wonky lamp. But space had come back, stretched itself from skirting board to window. I could hear the fridge hum, the tiny tick of the kitchen clock, my own breathing. I put the chain on. I put the kettle on. The little knife of my heart stopped jabbing. I sent one more text, to myself again, belt and braces of a woman who has learned what proof does, and another to his mum. Number blocked for months, unblocked for this moment. You should talk to your son, I typed, thumb steady. Ask him what he's been posting. I've got the video. T brewed. Street lights did their slow glitter on wet tarmac. The Vauxhall alarm started up again, yapped twice, and then, like a lesson learned, went quiet. My sister, 8, my shield since prep school, arrives with her tiny crossbody bag and the big sister voice that makes even guard dogs consider their choices. Gina, she says, bright but careful, like she's holding a glass full of bees. I nod. Gee, I lie. Outside our gate, the street is still the same. Laundry lines doing flags, dogs sleeping like they pay rent, the neighbor's radio on Love Radio, the crush of jeepneys at the corner. But the air feels new and thin, like I've moved to a higher floor inside my own life. The sun is doing that Manila thing, nasa muka talaga siya, full on your face. I put on a cap, and the mask I've been using even when no one else is wearing one anymore. It's not for COVID. It's for cover. We walk slow. 8 angles her body a little in front of mine, naturally like a tricycle sidecar roof, shade that moves with you. The tricycle drivers at the terminal pause mid-yosi. They look away, look again. Maybe it's the swelling that refuses to obey my concealer. Maybe it's the way my left cheek is a different color from my right. Maybe it's nothing, and I am inventing a chorus. Either way, the stare lingers long enough to make the air sticky. Kuya, 8 says to one of them, all sugar with steel. Pai Marti Lang Dalawang Tau. He nods, asks nothing. We climb into the sidecar. Metal is hot on the back of my calf. A dog barks the way dogs bark at everything, fully, sincerely. The tricycle takes off with that buzzing where that vibrates your thoughts loose. Wind presses my cap back. The world is a flip book, sorry store, school gate, a barber with a cape made from an old band poster. I'm here. I'm visible. Grabe. I keep my eyes on the in-betweens, the gap between houses where a coconut tree insists on growing, the 3 inches of sky between tangled wires, the little triangle of my sister's profile. We pass another tricycle, and the passenger looks straight into my eyes like he knows the headline plastered across my face. I imagine it, girl returns to daylight. I want to shrink into the plastic seat. I want to stand up and say, yes, I'm out. Yes, I'm bruised. Yes, I'm buying fish sauce. Mind your own. I do neither. I breathe. Ao's Lang, I whisper, and the words are a hammock for 1 second. Then the tricycle hits a pothole, and the hammock swings too hard. At the MRT, 8 taps her card twice, Chica with the guard about nothing important. He nods to me, eyes kind, like he's seen everything a turnstile can't stop. We ride 3 stops. The train's aircon is too cold, Manila's signature. My skin pulls tight where it's healing, and I wish for the sun again. People are doing their train faces, phones up, eyes down. Still, I feel like my face reaches the carriage before I do. When we catch our reflections in the window, stretched gray, I almost don't recognize the girl in the cap beside my sister. Her mouth is set like she's keeping a promise. We get off at the mall because inside the mall you can be anyone. A Tita chasing a sale, a student avoiding heat, a girl who wants patties and cotton pads. The doors whoosh, the cold slaps, the smell of butter and floor cleaner and new rubber shoes says, capitalism will hold you. Food court chatter is loud, all echoes, all forks on plates. I flinch, and then pretend I didn't. Kaya? 8 asks. Kaya, I say. We walk through Uniqlo because that's what you do. The mirrors threaten me from every angle, glossy traps. Mirrors and I are on a cooling off period. I slide my cap lower, pick up a linen shirt I don't need, put it back. It's not clothes day. It's buy normal things day. We go to the supermarket. It's bright and bossy. This aisle. That aisle. The list in 8's phone glows simple. Eggs, dish soap, cotton pads, patties, tomatoes, tissue. It feels like a test I can pass. In the condiments aisle, I reach for the bottle of fish sauce, the familiar amber weight in my hand. My Lola used to say patties can fix anything bland, just a little, Anik. I think about soup, sinigang that knows exactly what it is. I put the patties in the basket like it's a small returning of power. Cotton pads next. I stare too long at the brands. All circles look like targets. I choose the softest. My face deserves soft. At the cashier, the girl is quick with the scanner. Beep, beep, beep. I pretend she can't see the map of what happened across my cheek. I pretend I'm just another tired person buying pantry things. She says, plastic or eco bag, ma'am? I say, eco, and my voice cracks on the smallest word. Ao's Lang, I tell my throat. The cashier looks up for the first time and meets my eyes. Not a flinch, not a pity tilt, just a look that says, I see you and also the next person is waiting. There's mercy in that. Salamat pa, I say and mean it. On the way out, a group of high school girls in oversized polos walk past, loud, one of them sobbing from laughter. For a second I'm pierced with jealousy for that carefree noise. Then I remember I was them, and maybe I will be closer to them again, someday when my face is not a story before I speak. We sit on a bench under a fake tree. 8 opens a water bottle and hands it to me like communion. Breathe, she says. I do. The breath is ragged, Hika style, but it gets in. It gets out. Ao's Lang. A man walks by, stares a second too long, then pretends he was looking for the ATM. The old appetite to disappear rises again, angry at itself. I am angry at my wanting to shrink. Grabe, I tell 8, half laughing, half crying. Parang nauna, young muka kosa akin. She squeezes my hand. Hayanimo maunasiya. Susanad karin. Let your face go first. You will follow. We take a grab home because the train suddenly feels like too many eyes. The driver says nothing beyond good afternoon and sanpa. Bless him. The city slides by in composite, a billboard for whitening, a boy in slippers chasing a deflated ball, a woman balancing a whole basket of landzones like a crown. Life is busy not noticing me. I am grateful and offended at once. Back at the gate, 8 unloads the bag and narrates nothing things the way you do with someone learning to walk again. Maglioluto ako mamaya. Gusto mo takwat baboy? Patties moo. I nod. She kisses the top of my cap. Pahinga ka, she says. Rest. Inside, the house smells like the morning, coffee, mop water, a hint of the cologne I don't like anymore. I put the eco bag on the counter. I wash my hands. In the bathroom, the mirror waits, quiet. My face is still there, of course. It is less purple than it was. It is more me than it was yesterday. The cotton pads sit on the sink like small moons. I soak one with cleanser and touch my skin like I'm borrowing it. It stings. I pause. Ao's Lang. I cry a little, no soundtrack, no lesson, just salt water noticing gravity. I let it. Then I breathe. I count 5 in, 5 out, the way the YouTube lady taught. Through the window, afternoon thunder threatens, and then changes its mind. Classic Manila mood swing. The ceiling fan hums. A neighbor's baby starts wailing, and then decides he's okay. Ao's lang, I tell myself, and in the second I say it, it is true. It's late. I'm barefoot on the tile, mascara melting, and he's in the doorway of our apartment like a human deadbolt. I'm going, I say. Reckon you're not, he says, casual, leaning on the jamb with the relaxed shoulders of a man who thinks leaning is not blocking. Elbow up, accidentally wide. If I try to slip through, I get a rib to remember it by. I've started recording on my phone, and he clocks the red dot on the screen. Oh yeah, for the mates chat, he smirks. You a detective now? For me, I say. Proof. Proof of what exactly? He spreads his hands like there's nothing there but love and 2 biceps. You flipping out because I said don't walk out mid-convo. You're in the doorway. I'm keeping you from making a dumb choice. Big difference. The fan ticks overhead in that old Occidental way, tick-tick like a metronome for my spine. On the ceiling, the little CCTV sensor red dot blinks like a bored eye. The building's full of luxury. Key fobs, concierge, a lobby water feature that gurgles like wealth. But it's still the kind of place where the bin room smells like heat and someone's forgotten prawns. Move, I say. Hug, he says. 1 hug and we'll be sweet. That's not a hug, that's ransom. It's a reset, babe. You love resets. I love safety. He smiles with only his teeth. You're fine. His elbow lifts. It grazes me, just enough to be deniable. The kind of contact you can argue for hours about later. You bumped me / no I didn't / you imagined it. I flinch anyway. He clocks the flinch, files it, leans in again. I lift the phone higher. He taps it with 1 finger, not hard, just a nudge. The camera wobbles, ceiling dot smears. Turn that thing off. You can't listen properly with it on. I'm listening. No, you're hearing yourself. His voice goes soft like a wool blanket thrown over a fire. Babe, please. I love you. Let me put this out. He pats the air like the argument's a small flame, and not the kerosene he keeps tipping. I text the girls, you up? Can you come? And his grin goes real. Security won't let them up, he says, sing-song. No fob, no lift. This is a luxury building, babe. He says luxury like he bought it. Like he invented key fobs. Luxury you think you deserve, I say. You moved in, he shoots back. You brought plants. You brought your kettle. You're not a prisoner, so stop acting like it. You're blocking the door. He steps left when I step left, right when I step right. We do the stupid dance. The rectangle of hallway past his shoulder is a postcard of maybe. The lift at the end hums like a promise. Say you'll stay, he says. Just for tonight. We'll wake up, get bacon rolls, go for a swim. You'll be sweet in the Arvo. I'm not staying. You always say that. Then you do. He shrugs. Because you know I'm right. I don't owe you touch to earn my exit. You owe me respect. I'm respecting myself. By running. He reaches again, for the phone, not for me, which somehow feels worse. Give it here. We'll talk like adults. Don't touch my phone. What are you going to do, post me? Look, internet, my boyfriend asked for a hug. Grow up. Outside, someone down the corridor lets a door thud. The heat presses in thicker. My top sticks to my back. The fan ticks. A neighbor laughs on a balcony 2 floors down. Normal life is happening at regular volume, while mine is cranked to 11. I try again. Move. Say it, he says, bright as a teacher. Say you'll stay and I'll move. I picture the blueprint of coercive control, how it trades in exhaustion. No padlocks when you can wear someone down. No bars when you can be the door. I think of the last time I stayed just for tonight, and how tonight had a way of becoming a month. I'm going to the lift, I say. After a hug. I don't feel safe. He chuckles like I've told a long joke. You never feel safe. You're fine. Come here. He lunges for the phone again, showy, then gentlemanly, hands up like he's remembered the camera. He steps aside a sliver. Enough to make me doubt myself later. He moved, didn't he? Didn't he? I go. I slide past, shoulder scraping doorframe, and for a second I'm in the hallway. Carpets with a pattern that hides stains. Cool air that smells like eucalyptus and someone else's cooking. He's behind me straight away, bare feet slapping, voice all sugar. Babe, come on. Don't be like this. I'm trying to love you and you're making it hard. Move, I say, marching for the lift. I'm not doing this. You're doing this, he says, trotting, half laughing. You're doing your little walk away. You'll be back in 10. Watch me not. At the lift, the fob reader glows. I press the down arrow like I'm praying. The doors open slow, old man slow, the car making its little hydraulic groan like it's worked a double shift. I step in. He steps in. I plant a hand on his chest. He stops, more because of the camera than my palm. Out, I say. He tilts his head. Say please. Out. Say you'll stay. Out. My voice surprises me. It's not loud. It's flat. A boundary said quietly is still a boundary. For a breath we're statues. The cicadas get louder like a chorus. Then he does something he thinks is clever. He tips forward, puts one foot over the threshold so the doors can't close, and smiles like he's beaten physics. Mate, I say, and the mate lands like a slap because he hates being called mate. Move your foot. Make me. I clock the CCTV in the lift, the mirrored walls, my own face, sweaty, mascara streaked like claw marks. I look at his foot. I think absurdly of the bin room prawns. I plant my heel on his toes. Not hard. Enough. He yelps. Instinct yanks the foot back. The doors try to close. He lunges again, hand flat, and hits the edge. Babe, he says, voice flipping into that dog owner call, the one you use for an off-lead lab at the park. Babe, Semir. Hey. Hey. Don't be silly. Back here. Come. The doors keep coming. The lift beeps its polite little warning. Beep beep, like a checkout scanner, like a seatbelt reminder. For once, the beep means freedom. The gap narrows. His face is right there, smile slipping, love-shaped words arranged like a fire blanket, kerosene still on his hands. Say you'll stay, he tries, last shot. Good night, I say and press G. The doors meet. His face fractures into mirror pieces. A mosaic I don't have to assemble anymore. The lift hums, my stomach drops that tiny good drop. I breathe. Not pretty tears, the kind that unclog your whole head. I laugh once, a stupid bark, because the elevator just saved my life like a bored old hero. In the mirror, I look like a raccoon that's run a marathon. I wipe my cheeks with the heel of my hand, fix nothing. In my pocket, my phone vibrates. The girls, we're in the lobby. I text back, same. The lift sighs open. The lobby is cold, marble pretending to be cool, water feature mouthing off. The concierge looks up, clocking mascara and bare feet, and the way my hands shake. He nods once, the way Aussies nod when they've seen enough to know not to ask. Outside, night air. Not cool, but freer. Cicadas. A taxi idling. My friends barreling in through the sliding doors with that face, scared and furious, the kind you wear for people you love. Reckon you're right to go. One of them asks, squeezing my arm. Reckon I am, I say. And I am. Because sometimes leaving isn't a grand plan. Sometimes it's a lift with a stubborn close, a beep that means go, a door shutting on a man who calls you like a pet and expects you to heal. Sometimes it's Sydney heat and bare feet and the softest word, enough. We matched on Hinge midweek. Prompt said, looking for my best friend. I should have known. Men who say that want a dog with eyebrows. But he was cute, so I played along. He asked me out for Friday, 7 p.m. I said yes. I even put on mascara I save for weddings. At 6:50, I'm at the spot, hair behaving, outfit doing the most, stomach ready. 7 o'clock, nothing. 7:10, on my way. 7:20, crazy traffic. 7:35, parking is a nightmare. Sir, you picked the place. At 7:58, he strolls up like we agreed on sunset. I'm like, hi. He hugs me like we've been together 6 months and says, you look exactly like your photos, which is a weird thing to tell a person with a face. I say, you're late. He goes, worth the wait though, right? First red flag was before we even ordered. He says, you like Olive Garden? Like he's asking if I believe in God. I blink. He's serious. I say, how about we try literally anything else? And suggest a food hall 5 minutes away, cute lights, lots of options, zero breadstick propaganda. He agrees, but with the energy of a man being dragged to a booster shot. We get there, and he goes straight to a stall he wants. Doesn't ask what I'm in the mood for, just beelines. I'm still reading menus when he orders, pays, and walks away with his buzzer like I'm a background extra. I'm like, cool, I guess I'll also eat? I pick a different stall, order, pay for myself because apparently we're splitting emotional labor and dinner. It's not about the money, it's the math. You asked me out. You were an hour late. Bare minimum is a dumpling. We sit. He starts talking about traffic. 15 minutes on traffic. Then about his personal brand of intermittent fasting. It's called being late. He shovels in food like he's auditioning for a speed eating contest, then leans back and goes, "So, what brings you to Hinge?" I say the normal stuff. I'm not meeting people in the wild. I like a plan. I'm open to something real. He nods like a therapist. Then he asks, "Do you ever get a lot of top picks?" And before I can answer, he opens his Hinge at the table. While sitting across from me, on a date he invited me to. He starts scrolling his top picks like he's doing market research. I'm trying to laugh it off, like maybe he's showing me something weird. I point at a girl because I guess I'm auditioning for sainthood and say, "She's cute." He nods, grabs his phone back and goes, "Right? What should I say to her?" I stare at him, then at the exit, then back at him. He's serious. He wants me to workshop his opener to another woman while I'm cutting my bow in half. I say, "I'm not your copywriter." He goes, "You're funny." We keep talking because I'm a Capricorn and I finish what I start. He tells me about his job in a way that makes me suspect the job is vibes. He mentions 3 different exes by name, but only to say they're crazy, and we're still friends. He asks me how many kids I want. I say, 0 with you. In my head. Out loud I say, "Someday maybe." He nods, then checks his phone again. A notification pops up. "So-and-so liked you." He grins at it like a proud dad. I should have left then. I didn't. I'm a nice girl with a slow fuse. We finish eating. He suggests a walk. Sure. It's a summer night. The air is doing that warm laundry thing. My sandals are broken in. We get to his car. He offered to drive me to my car, which is 2 blocks away, so fine, and I get in. He starts the engine and immediately says, "Want to see something funny?" I say no. He opens Hinge anyway and reads a message from a girl out loud. Then he says, "You're secure though, right? You don't mind if I keep talking to people while we figure us out?" While we figure us out. This is the first date. The only thing we're figuring out is where the nearest exit is. I say, "I prefer Focus," which is the adult version of Sir What. He laughs and goes, "It's the apps, it's a numbers game." Then he turns to me as we're rolling and says, "You'd be surprised how many girls don't understand that." We're at a light. It turns green. He accelerates and adds, "I like you though. You're pretty for real, not just filters." He reaches over and pats my thigh like I'm a dog that sat. My entire soul leaves my body, writes a resignation letter, and slides it under the door. We're pulling up to the intersection near my car. He asks, "So second date?" and winks. I say, "You can pull over here." He slows then, hand to God, speeds up a little and says, "Let me just loop once more. I'm not done with you yet." It's jokey. It's not jokey. My skin knows it's not. I look at the speedometer. We're crawling like 8 miles per hour. I look at the door handle. I say, "I'm getting out." He laughs. I open the door. "Babe, chill," he says, like we've known each other long enough for the B word. I stick my foot out. Pavement. It's moving, but not fast. I grab my bag, brace my hand on the frame, and step. Do I look graceful? No. Do I wobble? Yes. But do I eat asphalt? I do not. I half jog, half stumble onto the curb as he brakes and leans over the passenger seat yelling, "What are you doing?" A woman on a bird scooter witnesses the whole thing and gives me the slow nod reserved for women who save themselves in public. I straighten up, adjust my strap, and say through his open window, "I'm walking." He goes, "This is crazy." I go, "We agree." He says, "Text me when you get home." I close the door. I can feel the adrenaline shame, that buzz that makes you think, was that too much? And I tell it to shut up. It's not too much to leave a date with a man who asks you to crowdsource his pickup lines mid-dumpling. It's not too much to refuse a second loop when someone won't respect. Oi, let me tell you the wildest date of my life. Porque si no lo saco del pecho me voy a enfermar. I'm not even exaggerating, Asir. This one had everything: traffic, trauma dump, baptisms, and a modern art installation in my Honda. So we match, normal vibes. She's pretty, funny in the DMs, says she hasn't really been out in a while. I'm like, cool, soft launch. Only catch, she lives basically in another time zone, Homestead adjacent. I'm in Doral. That's Miami long distance. But I'm a gentleman. I drive like 90 minutes because somehow the Palmetto at 6 p.m. decides to cosplay as a parking lot, and then US 1 says me too. I get there, she comes out cute, glitter sandals, baby tee, the whole. I don't try, but I tried Miami casual. First stop, a bar near her spot to pregame light. She tells me at the table, hand on heart, I don't really drink. Like casi nada. I go, Dale, water's free, and order us each one drink to be civilized. She sips, then the glass refills itself like loaves and fishes. Second round materializes, and suddenly my girl is telling me family history, like it's karaoke night. I'm nodding, aya, trying to be kind while the bartender sprinkles more confessional dust in her cup. We roll to the club downtown because she wants a little bail, and I'm thinking fine, 2 songs, drop her home. I go to sleep like a saint. The line is a novella, humidity is soup, reggaeton is on volume sacrilege. Inside, it's bodies and smoke machines and perfume fighting it out. She says again, I don't drink much, and then does shots like her college loans depend on it. I'm counting, bro. 2 becomes 4 becomes, who even counts? Meanwhile, she's telling me about her ex's ex, the psychic in Westchester that told her she's an old soul with new knees, I don't know. At like 1:35 a.m., she's not ready to end Claremont. Somebody says afters, and my brain says no, but my mouth says okay, 5 minutes. We end up at this loft that is clearly 4 roommates pretending it's a venue. LED lights, a DJ controller, and a mini fridge that's seen things. She grabs my hand and goes, Oi, bathroom? I point. There's a line for the real one. She spots the blue plastic coffin outside. Porta potty, she declares like Columbus. I say, Mama, that's not federal. But when La Naturaleza calls, she doesn't leave a voicemail. She disappears into the portal to hell. 30 seconds later, I hear a scream that curdles milk in Kendall. My phone. The door cracks open, she looks at me, and I can smell the apocalypse. It fell, she says, eyes huge. In there. Before I can say, let it go, Elsa. This woman, this warrior, shoves her hand down, hasta el centro de la tierra, and pulls up her iPhone from the primordial soup like Excalibur but browner. Time stops. I'm Catholic again. She's holding it, dripping, baptized in hell water, and then she turns on me like I dropped it. Why did you let me come in here? She screams like I'm FEMA. I'm like, Asir, I warned you. But she's incandescent. I grab napkins from I don't even know where, maybe angels. She's gagging, crying, mad at me, mad at gravity, mad at Apple. I'm guiding her to the car like air traffic control, because this is no longer a date. This is a humanitarian mission. Miami night. Humid, loud, sirens playing descargas, palm trees gossiping. We get in the car. I crack all windows. She's still on level 100, ranting how the universe hates her, while I'm white-knuckling the steering wheel, aiming for the palmetto like salvation. We merge, hallelujah. Halfway up the 826, she goes quiet and then says, very calm, I'm gonna, and doesn't finish. It happens in CinemaScope. The sound is artisanal. It hits the passenger door first, splatter art, then the window, then the headliner, then a generous pour into the door pocket, then the floor mats, and por que no, the back seat for fun. Also my soul. The car smells like regret and spicy tuna and the end of civilization. I keep it together because men cry in silence on the inside, pero Dios mío. It's okay, I say, voice 3 octaves up. We're okay. We are not okay. I take the next exit like I'm rescuing puppies, and pull into a random parking lot lit by a single flickering bulb that probably has seen crimes. Pop the glove box, Chipotle napkins. You already know. I start triage like a field medic, dab, scoop, wipe, whisper prayers in 2 languages. She's half crying, half yelling, half apologizing, math broken. Every wipe uncovers new territory. I'm talking Jackson Pollock, but the wet period. I get her a water bottle from the trunk, don't ask why I had 4. She sips and then starts again, this time at the asphalt. I'm rubbing her back like, eso fuera demonio. She swings from rage to sorrow to giggly. I'm such a mess, she says, which see. Then she goes, we should go out again tomorrow, start fresh. I look at the headliner dripping like stalactites and think about saintliness, boundaries, and Febreze. We make it back in silence, windows down, Miami air doing its best and failing. The reggaeton in the distance mocks me. Outside her place she turns to me, mascara doing spider art, and says, you're actually like a really good guy. Then she leans in like we're gonna kiss over the battlefield. I dodge suavemente. Text me when you're in safe. I say, a sentence that means everything and nothing. She totters off, clutching her purified by fire iPhone in a Chipotle napkin burrito. I sit there for a minute, breathing through my mouth, considering insurance fraud. Then I drive to the 24-hour car wash, the one by the gas station where the cafecito window is always open. The guy sees my face and doesn't even ask. He just hands me a roll of shop towels like communion. Bro, he says, Dios te bendiga. I tip him like he saved my marriage. I vacuum until the machine overheats. I buy Febreze like it's a talisman. I text the group chat. Brothers do not date. Become monks. Next morning she texts bright and early. Last night was crazy, lol. So dinner tonight? My thumbs hover over the keyboard like drones. I type, delete, retype. In the end I send, "Oi, you're cool, pero I think we're different seasons." She replies with a thumbs up and a heart, and then minutes later, "By the way, did you find my lip gloss in your car?" I look around at the clean butt-stained battlefield, at the door pocket where the memory lives. Nah, I write. Sorry. I steam the seats twice. The smell is now floral trauma. Whenever it rains and the car fogs up, I get war flashbacks. Porta potty blue, iPhone brown, the palmetto shimmering like a snake. Miami continues being Miami, palms shimmying, cafecito thumping, everyone late to everything. I don't even know where to start, so I'm just going to pull one Jenga block and watch the tower. First big one. He stole over $20,000 worth of my mom's antique jewelry. Not borrowed, not misplaced. Stole. Pawned it for drug money. My mom called the cops, because of course she did, and he admitted to some of it, which is hilarious in that bleak way, like, "Oh, so you're honest now." Meanwhile, I am in my Civic with a paper folder of receipts, driving pawn shop to pawn shop, asking the guy behind the bulletproof glass if he's seen a sapphire ring with a scratch only my family would know, buying back what I can with money I do not have. I'm Googling, do pawn shops do layaway, and calling it recovery in my head because it made me feel less like I was drowning. Second block, he got caught stealing from his job. Went to jail. Do you know how long it takes to come up with bail when your savings is a candle stub? 5 days. 5 days of calling everyone, selling a guitar, borrowing from a friend who did not even like him. The whole time I'm doing math, he's in county getting angrier and angrier that I didn't move the heavens faster. When I finally got him out, he was furious it took so long. Like the customer service was unacceptable. "Sorry sir, our manager is out to lunch. Try compassion again later." Then there was the car. My car. He would take it and disappear for days. I learned new geography by panic. Which freeway exits lead to which neighborhoods, where the cops don't patrol, which houses look like they are pretending not to be drug houses, but are definitely drug houses. I got Facebook messages from strangers. "Hey, I think your car is outside my cousin's place." And I would go. Alone. In daylight. Knocking on doors that smelled like bleach and cat pee, and something sour I still can't name, walking past people whose eyes did not blink together saying, "I'm looking for my husband, I need my keys." I can't believe I'm still alive. I walk into these living rooms like a one-woman repo company with a ponytail and a tote bag, and sometimes a woman would go, "Who are you?" And I'd go, "I'm his wife," and she'd go, "I'm his girlfriend." And I'd go, "Great, do you know where my keys are?" This is not bravery, it's stupidity painted as love. Eventually he drove the car into the dirt. Literally. It died on the shoulder with a tow bill taller than my hope. The police met me at the wrecking yard and said, very calmly, that it was in my best interest to just scrap it, because the plate was now known for drug activity, and every time they saw it, they would pull it over. So I signed away the title with a Sharpie and watched my little blue car get swallowed by chain link, and I cried in that quiet way where you press your tongue to your teeth, so the sob has to take the long way out. Then there was the night I thought maybe we were okay. Things had calmed down, which in our house meant no one had yelled in 3 days in a row. We got a tax refund. We did that very American thing where you pretend a refund is a new beginning. We went to the store, bought him a shirt, me some mascara. We borrowed my mom's car, irony bingo card already full, and we were going to go to dinner. On the way he says, "I just got to do something real quick. I'll drop you at your friend's work for like 20 minutes. It was a gas station. I said okay, because I say okay a lot when I'm tired. 20 minutes became an hour, became 3, became 5. I fell asleep on a stack of Gatorade cases in the back room while my friend counted scratch-off tickets. The fluorescent lights hummed an apology they did not mean. At 6 a.m., I saw a car I recognized pull up to a pump, one of his friends. I went outside and she said, "What are you doing here?" Like I was the one acting strange. I told her. She said, Oh my God, I know where he's at. Get in. We drove to a house that was trying very hard to be a home. I knocked. A woman answered. Is so-and-so here? I asked. No, she said. And then, like a Looney Tunes bit, he walked past the hallway behind her. I said, I can see him. She said, he's not here, and slammed the door. I knocked until my knuckles went numb. I said I'd call the police. Suddenly she opened like a stage direction, enter with keys. She did that girlfriend smirk. Sorry, didn't realize he left the keys here, she said, handing me my mother's car keys like a hostess handing back a coat. I took them and I left. I drove home. I called no one. I lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling and did the math of my life again, the pity algebra. He called. Hey, I heard you showed up at, he started, and I said his name very quietly, and he said, I wasn't there. To this day, he would deny being there even though I saw him with my own 2 eyes, and I think that's the most honest summary of the whole marriage. I saw what I saw. He said I didn't. Sometimes I tried to believe him, because it was easier to be wrong than to be alone. Some smaller things that were actually big. He would borrow money from me, and then put the IOU on a drug that would never pay me back. He once accused me of not supporting his recovery, because I wouldn't drive him to meet a stranger behind a laundromat. He spit on me once during a fight, and then immediately cried like he was the one drowning. I learned to check pockets and shoes. I learned to sleep with my bag by the door. I learned to keep cash in the second flour canister, not the sugar, because he never baked. I learned that the word sorry can be shaped like a crown and a leash. Why didn't I leave sooner? Pick any answer. Shame. Hope. Habit. The fear of the I told you so choir, that's real. The way you start thinking you are the kind of person things happen to, and then you try to be excellent at enduring. The way a good day feels like a down payment on a future that never arrives. I did leave eventually. I always feel like people need to know we get out. It wasn't cinematic. It was a Wednesday. I took my documents, a duffel, a cheap phone charger, the mascara from the tax refund because I earned it. I drove to my aunt's house and said, I need to sleep, and she put a blanket on me and did not ask a single question. He called. He left voicemails that started, I'm sorry, and ended, you did this to us. I saved them to remind myself why my heart felt so light and so heavy at the same time. We matched on Tinder on a Thursday eve. I messaged to begin with, Waterfall has main character energy, and he replied in under a minute with a laughing emoji and, you have good taste. We moved to texting fast. He was funny in that copy and paste way, memes, good morning before coffee, a voice note where he said my name like he'd practiced it. He wanted to meet Friday. I said yes. I even shaved my legs, which is commitment for a stranger with 3 photos. He arrived late. Not dramatically, just 20 minutes, the amount that makes you feel silly for asking the host to hold the table. When he walked in, he hugged me like we'd already met. He looked like his photos, which is rarer than a solar eclipse, so I let the 20 minutes go. At the table, he put his phone face up. Red flag, I know. But I did the same, like we were 2 little lighthouses watching for storms. He asked me the usual, work, siblings, favorite pasta shape. He made good eye contact and said that makes sense a lot. He laughed at my joke about being an oldest daughter. It felt fine. Not fireworks, not disaster. Just fine. Then his phone buzzed. He glanced down and smiled without meaning to. The screen lit up with Tinder's pink-red flame and a name, Ariana, and a preview bubble. You're cute. He didn't flip it over. He didn't even look guilty. He just let it sit there like a centerpiece. I pretended I didn't see it, because pretending is a skill I've honed, but a tiny knot formed under my ribs. It's not that I expected exclusivity before the chips arrived. It's just the theater of it, like we were auditioning each other while the casting call was still open in another tab. He asked if I'd ever been to this place. I said no, I'd saved it for a date. He grinned and said, look at us making each other's lists. The waiter arrived. He ordered confidently. I ordered the same because I'm easily influenced by certainty. When the drinks came, he clinked glasses and said, to deleting Tinder someday. Cute line. Too practiced. While we waited for the food, he slid his phone toward me and showed me a TikTok of a guy making steak in a toaster. I laughed. Then he kept scrolling, and the algorithm revealed itself. Girls dancing in leggings, date night, get ready with me. A guy explaining how to maximize your roster respectfully. He didn't flinch. I took a sip and thought about rosters. Halfway through the tacos, he asked for my Instagram. Not, what do you do for fun? Not what music do you like. Just IG. I gave it to him because it felt weirder not to. He followed me, scrolled, and said, "You photograph well." A compliment that felt more like feedback. I felt myself becoming content. Then he unlocked his phone again. Another Tinder notification. Another name. Another, "You're cute." He turned the screen toward me like a joke. "She's not wrong," he smirked. I smiled in the way women smile when they're deciding whether to leave. "You're very confident," I said. "I'm honest," he said, and tucked the phone back beside the fork. After dinner, he suggested a bar with vibes. On the walk over, he told me about his last relationship like it was a LinkedIn post. Lessons learned, growth achieved. He said, "I'm not in a rush to lock anything down, but if it's right, it's right." Tinder pinged again. He didn't check it that time. Progress? At the bar, he asked if I wanted to split the bill, to keep things modern. I said sure, because I didn't want the money to be the argument when there were bigger arguments in the room. He went to the bathroom and left his phone on the table. It lit up like a slot machine. The flame, a heart, a DM request on Instagram from a girl whose profile photo was her collarbone. I looked away. I practiced breathing. I promised myself I wasn't going to ask him to perform a commitment. He didn't know me. But I was allowed to clock how this made me feel, like an option in a menu with infinite scroll. He came back and touched my elbow. "You have very calm energy," he said, which is something men say when they mean, "I like that you don't make me think about myself too much." "What are you looking for?" I asked finally. He did the little shrug. "Connection. Fun. Nothing heavy. You." "I'm looking for someone who can put their phone face down during a date," I said, smiling so it would land softer. He laughed like I'd said a punchline. "Oh, that? I'm just transparent. Better than sneaking, right?" We walked to my car. He offered to walk me to the door. I said yes because saying no would have required a speech. At my building, he leaned in for a kiss. It was fine. His breath was mint and mezcal. He pulled back and said, "I'll text you," which is the modern goodbye. In the elevator up, my phone buzzed. A Tinder notification. From him. He'd super liked me, as though we hadn't just shared tacos, as though the app was the actual place we met and the physical date was side content. I laughed. It was so on brand I had to laugh. The next day he texted, "Had fun, let's do it again." I said, "Maybe." He sent me a screenshot of a girl's opening line, "Marry me," with a crying laughing emoji. I didn't respond for an hour. He followed up with a selfie from the gym, then a story where he reposted a girl's king comment with haha. I muted him. I unmuted him. I muted him again. That evening, he asked if I wanted to come over to watch a movie. I said, "I don't go to men's apartments I don't know." He said, "You do know me." I said, "I know your notifications." He said I was being intense. I said I was being safe. He said, "You know I'm not a bad guy." I said, "I know you're a busy one." He called. I let it ring out. He sent a paragraph about privacy and how he didn't know social media proof. I hadn't asked for proof. I'd asked for presence. He said, "You're overthinking." I looked at the flame icon at the top of my phone and thought, "You're underfeeling." I unmatched him on Tinder first, because I wanted to hear the tiny click of a door closing. Then I texted, "I think we want different things. Take care." He sent a thumbs up. Not even a heart. On brand to the end. Later, my best friend asked if I was sad. I said, "I'm fine." I was fine. It had only been one date. But it wasn't the size of it, it was the shape. It was trying to be a person in a room with someone who belonged to the apps. It was being an option in a deck he could shuffle with his thumb. That night, I deleted Tinder from my home screen. Not forever. Just from the front row. I made tea. I put my phone face down and let it buzz in another room. I felt the knot under my ribs loosen just a little and thought, look at me making my own list. I met him on a Tinder date initially, but I need to share a trigger warning for domestic violence and pregnancy. I'm sharing this because if one person hears it and leaves sooner than I did, it's worth the knot in my stomach telling it again. When he was strangling me, I was 7 months pregnant. That sentence still feels like I'm saying it about someone else. I remember trying to say, "I'm pregnant," like those 2 words might be a life jacket he'd recognize. Why did I say that? He knew I was pregnant. He went to appointments. He took photos of the ultrasound and made them his lock screen. But the words fell out anyway, because somewhere in me I knew I wasn't enough of a reason for him to stop, and maybe the baby would be. That's the part that took years to name. A friend who's a psychologist said it to me later, gently, like handing me a mirror. Maybe you said it because you knew you didn't matter to him. And that landed like a brick in my chest, because I think that's exactly it. It wasn't the first fight. It was the first strangling. People always want the timeline. Was he like this from the start? No. He was funny and helpful, and I'll cook tonight, and sit down, rest. And then the little things started. Mean jokes with a smile, a hand too tight on my arm, the sigh when I didn't do something right, the way he wanted me to ask permission to breathe. You know the drill. 1,000 tiny rearrangements of yourself, so the room stays calm. That night, nothing headline-worthy. An argument about absolutely nothing, which is how these nights are born. The dishwasher, my phone, the tone of my voice, pick one. He followed me into the bedroom, and I kept saying, I don't want to fight, which is hilarious because not wanting to fight has never once stopped a fight. He pushed me onto the bed and straddled me, and before my brain caught up, his hands were on my throat, like a switch. Like he'd rehearsed it. People ask if it hurts. That's not the first thing. The first thing is sound disappearing. The edges of the room go fuzzy. You hear your own blood. You can't swallow, and suddenly swallowing is the only task your body is trying to do. I could feel the nightstand against my skull because he shoved me so hard my head hit it, and I have a flash of the lamp tilting like some stupid movie. My hands went to his wrists, and I tried to say, I'm pregnant, and it came out like air escaping a tire, useless and high. His face was blank. That's what haunts me more than anger would. Blank, like he was fixing something broken, and I was the thing. And then, this is the part that makes me want to throw up, he stopped. Just stopped. Like he got bored. Like the channel changed. He slid off, sat on the edge of the bed, put his head in his hands, and said nothing. I lay there feeling my throat from the inside, like it was a separate animal crawling under my skin. I didn't go to the hospital. I wish I did. I wish I had a chart and photos and the whole neat package. But shame is an anesthetic and fear is a sedative. I went to the bathroom, looked at myself under that unforgiving yellow light, saw the red rings where his fingers had been, and ran cold water and pressed a washcloth there like I could erase it. The baby moved, this little rolling kick like, hey, I'm here. And I cried at the sink as quietly as I could so he wouldn't hear me being weak. The next morning, he made coffee. He made me toast. He touched my shoulder and said, we shouldn't yell like that. Like we had both attended the same crime. Like the problem was volume. I nodded because nodding keeps the day moving forward. It took years to understand I almost died. That we almost died. I learned a fact I hate knowing. Strangulation is the #1 predictor of homicide and domestic violence. If he strangles you, you are 7 to 12 times more likely to be killed. I didn't know that then. I know it now, and it sits in my ribs like a burn. A man who strangles you is communicating something very clearly. I could kill you. I choose not to this time. And weirdly, he benefits from that. He gets to keep you alive where he can keep using you, keep hurting you, keep reminding you he controls the oxygen in the room. Why didn't you leave? Is the laziest question and the truest one. Because leaving is the most dangerous time. Because I was pregnant. Because he cried. Because I didn't want the chorus of, I told you so, from people who love me but love being right just as much. Because I had convinced myself that surviving this made me strong. If it was that bad, you would have left. No. If it's that bad, sometimes you freeze. Fear is glue. We stayed. You want me to say we had good days? We did. That's how this works. There were days he kissed my stomach and talked to the baby like a cartoon dad. There were days he bought flowers and watched shows he hated and put his hand on the small of my back like protection. And then there were days he slammed doors so hard the pictures jumped, and days he called me names I won't repeat here because my mouth still tastes like them, and days I learned how to keep peace by counting. I would count the seconds of silence between his words like weather prediction. I started measuring the house by danger. This corner safe, that hallway unsafe. Don't block the doorway. Keep your keys by the plant. Keep your charger in your bag. I told almost no one. I said we're fine. I wore scarves in summer. I turned my head in photos. When the baby hiccuped inside me, I would press my palm there and whisper, we're okay. I don't know if I was lying to the baby or to myself or to both of us. The end wasn't cinematic. There was no dramatic escape at midnight. There was another incident, smaller, if you're keeping score, which I don't recommend. A shove. A threat. The look. And a call from my mother where she did not say hello, just, are you safe? Mothers know things. I heard my own voice say, no, like it had been waiting at the door with a suitcase. After he left for the gym, I took my documents, The ones you think you can always find, but somehow can't when you're scared. I took 2 onesies and the tiny socks I bought when I still believed we were building something. I took the baby's ultrasound photo off the fridge. I put them in a bag. I texted a friend, "Can I come?" She said yes. No questions. Saints do not always wear halos. Sometimes they have a minivan and a spare key. I want to say this clearly. The fear doesn't end at the door. It changes shape. It becomes locks and routes and new routines. It becomes telling the story in pieces, watching people's eyes, choosing who gets what scrap of truth. It becomes learning to sleep again without one ear on the hallway. But there is a morning, there is always a morning, where the kettle boils and no one shouts. Where you touch your throat in the mirror and there are no new marks. Where the baby kicks and you cry for a different reason. If you are listening and your body recognized anything I said, if your hands went to your neck without you thinking, if you practice smiling in the mirror to make sure it looks harmless, if you have a drawer where you keep your documents and a bag that's just in case, I love you. You are not dramatic. You are not stupid. You are not overreacting. Write down what happened. Tell one person who won't pivot to their own story. Know the statistic not to scare yourself, but to respect the signal. If his hands have been on your throat once, that's not an only. That's a sentence you don't have to finish. Interviewer, so start from the beginning. What did you say that night? Me, he wanted to be intimate, and I was just like, okay, well, let's get tested together first because you're coming out of jail. I don't know what you were doing in there. I didn't say it nasty, I swear. I said it soft, like a suggestion. Let's just be safe. And also, I don't know who you were with before you even went to jail. So just to be safe, like, let's get tested together. That was it. That was the whole thing. Interviewer. And then, me. And then he looked at me like I had spit on him. Like I called him dirty. His jaw did that thing, when it ticks. He went quiet. Too quiet. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe that came out wrong, so I'm trying to fix it. I'm like, babe, it's not a big deal. We can go tomorrow. I'll even book it. I'll go with you. And he just blinked once, and then boom. Interviewer, he punched you? Me, he punched me right in my face. Like no wind up, no warning. Just fist, cheekbone, stars. I heard ringing like in a movie. I tasted metal. And I remember thinking, wow, he really did that. Like my brain couldn't catch up. I stumbled back and my hand went to my face, and I looked at my fingers like I expected them to tell me what to do. Interviewer, how did you react? Me, I just jumped back and I just started crying like, why would you do this to me? Like why? Like why? Why? I kept saying it like a broken button. Because I had never experienced that before. Not like that. Not from someone I'm starting to fall for. No, at that point I was already in love. I was. I hate saying it, but I was. And then it wasn't just the punch. He shoved me like open hand shove, and I tripped on the rug and hit my hip on the coffee table, and it was like the room got smaller. Interviewer, what did he say? Me, he said I disrespected him. That I called him dirty. That I didn't trust him. He said, what you think I am? Over and over, louder each time. And I'm apologizing while I'm crying. Like I'm apologizing for wanting to be safe. Can you imagine? I'm stuttering. No, it's not like that. I'm sorry. Like maybe if I say sorry enough the night rewinds. And then he spit on me. I had never been spit on a day in my life. It slid down my cheek and I wiped it with the sleeve of the sweatshirt he bought me, and the dumbest thought ran through my head like, now the sleeve is dirty, and I hated that I cared about the sweatshirt. Interviewer, did you try to leave? Me, my keys were by the door, but the door was behind him. And I was scared, and embarrassed, and frozen. People don't talk about the freezing. Fight, flight, freeze, they don't talk about freeze. My body was like, we're gonna be furniture. So I sat on the edge of the couch, hands in my lap like a schoolgirl, and I just watched him pace and talk about respect. He went to the kitchen, slammed the cabinet, came back, kicked my sneakers across the room like soccer. Then he calmed down like a switch. He sat next to me and put his arm around me like he hadn't just used that same arm to throw me, and he said, I love you, you just set me off. Interviewer, what happened after? Did you leave? Did you call someone? Me, I didn't leave. I wish I could say I grabbed my stuff and walked out. I didn't. I was scared and I was embarrassed, and I didn't want to hear, I told you so from family and friends because they were basically telling me like, you're moving too fast. You don't really know this person. And I didn't want to hear, okay, we were right. I could hear my cousin's voice already, and my mom's friend with that look. I didn't want to be the girl who brought chaos into the group chat. So I stayed. I went to his bathroom, and I looked at my face under that horrible bathroom light, and my cheek was swelling, and I dabbed at it with cold water like water could fix bone. I took 2 Advil from the cabinet, and I lied to myself like, it won't bruise if I lie down with the ice. Interviewer: did he apologize? Me, he cried. He did that big chest sob like a kid. I don't know why I do that. You know I love you. Don't leave me. He put his forehead on my shoulder, and his tears were on my shirt. And then he asked me if I still thought he was dirty. I said I never said that, I just wanted us to be safe. And he nodded like he understood, and then 5 minutes later he said, but why you say that though? Like the loop started over. That's the thing, it's a loop. Rage, spit, silence, tears, cuddle, question that reopens the wound. Interviewer: did you tell anyone the next day? Me, I wore sunglasses. It wasn't even that sunny. The bruise was low on the cheek, so you could still kind of see it, but it made me feel protected. I went to work and my coworker said I looked tired, and I said allergies. I texted my best friend a selfie from the bathroom and typed, I fell, and then I deleted it and I sent a meme instead. That's embarrassing to admit. I told one person, my neighbor, because she heard the thump through the wall and knocked. I said, we dropped something. She looked at me like she didn't believe me, but she didn't push. Interviewer: did you ever get tested? Me, no. Isn't that wild? The thing that started it never even happened. After that night, anytime I tried to bring it up, he'd say, we already talked about that, let it go. And I did. I let it go like it was helium, and I was a kid at the fair watching it float away, wishing I could grab it back. Interviewer: was that the only time? Me, no. Not like that, not as bad, but hands on shoulders too hard, finger marks on my arm, a shove here, a shut up there, the spit again one time when I said I wanted to go to my mom's for the weekend. It changes how you move in your own house. You learn the geography of not making someone angry. You close cabinets soft. You keep your phone face down. You time your laugh. You say you're not hungry if he's not hungry. You practice your smile in the mirror to check it doesn't look like mockery. Interviewer: what finally made you leave? Me, my mother called me 3 times in a row. She never does that unless something's wrong. I answered and she didn't even say hi, she said, pick up, please. And my stomach flipped because that's what she says when she's scared. She tells me about a woman in our neighborhood, strangled by her boyfriend. She says, did you know strangulation is the #1 predictor of... She can't even say the word. And I'm thinking about his hand around my throat for a second that night. He didn't squeeze, but he put it there like a promise. That was it. That night I packed a tote bag while he was in the shower. Toothbrush, charger, 1 pair of jeans, 2 t-shirts, my documents. I left my favorite sweatshirt. I hated that sweatshirt anyway. Interviewer: where did you go? Me, my aunt's. She didn't ask questions. She put rice on the stove and slid the ice pack from the freezer across the counter without making it a scene. She said, you can rest here, like she was talking to a bird that flew into a window. I slept 12 hours. I turned my phone face down and let it buzz itself out. He left me voice notes that started, I'm sorry, and ended, you did this to us. I saved them. Not to listen. To remind myself it happened. I met Eladio on a Wednesday night, but I shouldn't have been swiping. I should have made the effort and gone out with my friends. We met for a Starbucks coffee the next afternoon. My test date ritual. 40 minutes of caffeine-fueled banter to see if someone could hold a conversation without making me want to fake a phone call emergency. He showed up in a hoodie, jeans, and a smile like he'd just told a secret to someone who laughed. He wasn't overly polished, which I liked. A little undone. Real. We sat at a corner table, and I watched him stir his drink like it was a nervous habit. I found it endearing. He told me he was divorced, 2 years out. Co-parenting. Still figuring things out, he said, with this look like he was trying not to sound too tired. He brought up the kids briefly, then steered the topic back to my work. I liked that. He listened. Asked follow-ups. Didn't try to outshine me. I saw him again. Drinks this time, at a weird little bar tucked behind a used bookstore. It smelled like old paper and lemon peel. He was late, texted me 3 times apologizing, said traffic was a mess after picking up his kids. When he finally arrived, he looked flustered but still managed to smile like he meant it. I didn't mind. It made him seem grounded, like someone who actually had responsibilities. That night we talked more. Music. Past trips. Therapy. It felt adult. In a warm, steady sort of way. We made out in his car afterward, which I had promised myself I wouldn't do anymore, but his lips moved like he'd read the manual on kissing slowly and thoroughly. The kind of kiss that isn't just a checkpoint. It lingered, left fingerprints on my mood. Third date was sushi. My neighborhood. A place that always smelled like soy sauce and wet umbrellas. Nothing fancy, just familiar. He remembered I hated my boss and brought up a podcast I'd once mentioned in passing. The kind of details you don't expect people to remember. I started to think, maybe this is something. Then his phone buzzed. He ignored it at first. Then again. Then it rang FaceTime. He sighed and excused himself to take it. I didn't think much of it. Kids, I figured. 10 minutes passed. I watched the waitress refill my tea and start avoiding eye contact. When he came back, he looked tight, smiling, but in that way where the skin doesn't move around the eyes. "You okay?" I asked. "Yeah," he said. My ex had a question about the kids, but he kept glancing at his phone like it was about to combust. Midway through me telling a story about this guy at work who eats yogurt with a fork, true horror, his phone buzzed again. This time, he flipped it over fast, but not before I caught the name on the screen. Wifey Redheart. I blinked. Thought maybe it was a joke. An old contact name he forgot to change? Then another buzz. Wifey Redheart. Message, the kids are crying. Please answer. I don't know what to tell them. My stomach folded in on itself. I didn't say anything at first. Just stared. He saw me looking. Froze. Then let out this awkward laugh and mumbled something about old habits dying hard. She's just dramatic, he said. Are you actually divorced? He didn't answer. Iladio, I said low and even. Are you still married? He looked down at his napkin. Picked at the corner like it had betrayed him. Then he said those 3 magic words that every woman knows mean run. It's complicated. What followed was a sweaty, half-mumbled confession that made my ears ring. He wasn't divorced. Not even separated. His wife thought he was away on extended business trips. She didn't even know he was dating. They had 5 children. 5. All under the age of 10. Which explained the chaos of the calls. The missed FaceTimes. The desperation in her messages. He told them he was in Chicago for work. We were 2 neighborhoods away from his house. When I asked him why lie, why put me in this position, why risk this, he said he felt trapped. That the marriage was dead. That they hadn't touched each other in years. That he needed to remember what feeling alive felt like. I didn't finish my food. I walked out, blocked his number, deleted the app again. Sat on a park bench near my place, staring at a busted street light flickering like it was trying to say something, but couldn't quite get the words out. A few days later, I got a message on Instagram. Private account. No profile picture. Just, do you know Iladio? It was her. His wife. I guess she saw my name pop up on his phone. I didn't respond. I couldn't. I felt sick just reading it. Looking back, the signs were there. The weird scheduling. The never-seen apartment. The sudden disappearing acts. But when someone looks you in the eye, holds your hand, kisses you like they mean it, you want to believe. You want to think you're building something. Turns out I was just an emotional Airbnb. Short-term lease. No deposit. No warning. I took extra time curling my hair, letting the iron linger longer on each strand than usual. The mirror caught the gleam in my eyes, nervous, maybe, but hopeful. This wasn't just any Friday night. I had a date. A real one. With someone who seemed, at least through glowing texts and flirty emojis, like a rare find. His name was Darian. We met online on Tinder a week ago. I wanted this date night we arranged to feel like something out of a movie, so I played the part. My little black dress fit like a whisper. Tight in all the right places. The heels were higher than practical, but I liked the way they made me feel, taller, braver, deliberate. I arrived at the restaurant just as the sun was bleeding into the skyline. The place glowed gold through the windows. Inside, I spotted him immediately. Darian sat at a corner table by the window, his posture relaxed, one hand casually draped over the back of the chair. His smile when he saw me was instant, like he'd been waiting his whole life for this moment. He stood, walked toward me, and pulled me into a hug. Not too tight, not too familiar, just enough to make my heart skip. He smelled like cedar and something clean, maybe bergamot. I liked it. I liked him. Amara, he said, my name sliding off his tongue like silk. You're even more stunning in person. I blushed, uncharacteristically flustered. You're not too bad yourself, I replied, trying to sound breezy. We sat, and the waiter brought a bottle of red wine, Syrah if I remember right. Darian ordered it without hesitation, flashing a sleek black card I'd only ever seen in commercials. The waiter's eyes flickered with recognition. "Get whatever you want," Darian said. "Seriously, dinner's on me. I've been looking forward to this." Over appetizers, fig and prosciutto crostini that melted on the tongue, we talked. About everything. Work, childhood, bad dates, music, travel. I laughed more in 1 hour than I had in the past month. Darian had a way of listening that made me feel fascinating. Like I was something to be discovered, not just consumed. When our entrees arrived, filet mignon for him, lemon chicken piccata for me, the vibe only deepened. He watched me take my first bite with a grin. "You're adorable when you eat," he said, his gaze lingering. "I like a woman who enjoys her food." I don't know if it was the wine, the candlelight, or the way he was looking at me like I was the only person on earth, but I leaned in. I let my guard down. I told him things about my writing, my dreams to leave the city, my complicated relationship with my father. He listened, nodding, eyes intense but soft. He reached across the table once, squeezing my hand. "You feel really easy to talk to," I whispered. He smiled. "Maybe that's because I'm not playing games." I wanted to believe him. After dessert, a shared creme brulee, his idea, he suggested a walk around the neighborhood. The night was warm, the kind that makes you want to linger. I excused myself to the restroom, reapplied my lipstick with trembling fingers, and met him at the exit. We strolled arm in arm, passing boutiques and closed galleries, the city humming around us. Darian told me funny stories about his college days, pointed out places that held memories. He pulled me close when crossing the street. He made me laugh so hard I had to stop walking. Then, just as we turned down a quieter street, his phone rang. "Ugh, sorry," he said, glancing at the screen. "1 second. It's work." He stepped away, phone pressed to his ear. I leaned against a shop front, watching as his entire demeanor shifted. His shoulders tightened. His face fell. The deep, warm voice I'd fallen into all night turned clipped, serious. 1 minute passed. Then 5. I fiddled with the strap of my purse, growing cold in the breeze. 10 minutes. When he finally returned, he was already talking. "Amara, I'm so sorry. It's an emergency. I need to head back right now." I blinked. "Oh, okay, rain check?" he asked, leaning in and brushing a kiss against my cheek. "You're amazing. I'll call you tomorrow." And just like that, he walked away. No hug. No real goodbye. No explanation. I stood there, stunned, watching his tall frame disappear into the distance. I called after him once, weakly. He didn't turn around. I didn't know what to do. I wandered back to the restaurant, heart pounding. My wine glass still waited at our table, half full. The waiter returned, his friendly face dimming as he looked around. "Everything all right?" he asked gently. I nodded, not trusting my voice. "Your friend said you'd be handling the bill," he added, lowering his voice. The words landed like a slap. My stomach dropped. I blinked at him, then at the table. Darian's jacket was still draped over his chair. A ghost of a presence. A prop. I swallowed hard. He left. The waiter softened. "Don't worry. We'll work something out." I explained through choked words, trying not to cry. He was kind. Covered most of the bill himself. Wrote Darian's name down somewhere discreetly. I thanked him, humiliated, mascara already smudging my cheeks. The Uber ride home blurred past neon lights and honking horns. I stared out the window, replaying every moment. Had I imagined the connection? Had it all been a performance? I texted Darian. Called. Voicemail. I kept trying until I couldn't anymore. By the time I got home, I was shaking. I peeled off my dress, let it fall to the floor, and stood in front of the mirror. I didn't look flawless anymore. I looked like a girl who'd been tricked. I crawled into bed in my oversized hoodie, the one with the frayed sleeves. I stared at the ceiling, then at my phone. No new messages. I deleted our text thread. His number. His photos. All of it. I whispered something to myself. I'm not doing this again. I'm not letting someone make me feel like nothing. But still I cried. Because I didn't just lose a date. I lost a little piece of belief. A little piece of that girl who still thought maybe, just maybe, a stranger could become something more. And I hated him for that. I've always believed in the thrill of the unknown, which is probably why Tinder never scared me the way it does some people. You meet people, you flirt, you risk a little. Sometimes it turns into something, sometimes it doesn't. But back in December of 2015, I wasn't looking for anything to commit to. Just a weekend of bad decisions and good stories. I was visiting some college friends in Bloomington, Indiana University. The snow was fresh on the ground, and the campus looked like it had been dipped in powdered sugar. It was the kind of cold that made your breath visible, your skin sting, your brain buzz just a little. We were drinking, laughing, catching up. That first night we hit a couple parties, and by the end of it, I was drunk enough to forget I wasn't 21 yet. The next morning, I woke up in a tangle of blankets on a friend's futon and checked my phone. Tinder had a couple new matches. One of them was a girl named Zelma. Not gonna lie, her profile caught me off guard. She was gorgeous. Dark curls, full lips, a nose ring. Her first photo was a mirror selfie with red LED lights behind her, and her bio was a single line. "Tell me your worst idea." I messaged her, "Driving to your place in the snow with no pants on." She replied, "I'll unlock the door." That was it. We were off. We talked most of the day, playful, sarcastic, a little dirty. She was quick with her replies, sharp with her words. That night, while my friends were pre-gaming for another party, I told them I was heading out to meet someone. "Dude, you just met her," one of them said. "I know," I grinned. "That's the point." I drove across town, following the address she gave me. It was one of those older apartment complexes, faded brick, metal banisters, a few broken porch lights. Not totally sketchy, but definitely not the kind of place you'd want to be loitering around alone after dark. When I pulled up, I texted her, "Me, here. Which door's yours?" She didn't answer right away. So I got out of the car and started walking around the building. That's when I saw it. Movement behind the blinds of one of the windows on the second floor. It was quick, just a shift of shadows, but then I looked closer and saw at least 3 people standing behind the glass watching me. Just standing there. Not talking. Not moving. I felt a chill crawl up my spine that had nothing to do with the snow. I texted her again. "Me. Think I'm at the right building. You in 2B? A moment later, she finally replied, "Zelma, front door's open. Just come in." I turned toward the main entrance. Sure enough, the door was slightly ajar, cracked open like it had been waiting for me. I hesitated. Every horror movie I'd ever seen started like this. Still, I pushed the door open. Inside, it was silent, dimly lit, with just one flickering bulb overhead. The air smelled of old carpet and something else, something faint and metallic. I reached for the light switch on the wall. Nothing. Then, from one of the apartment doors down the hall, I heard it. A voice. Low. Urgent. "Shh. He's right outside." I froze. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. Suddenly things weren't adding up. That window I saw earlier, the one with the people inside, it wasn't just a neighbor's window. It was Zelma's. I knew that now. And she wasn't alone. I turned around and walked out. Not ran, walked. Like if I moved too fast, something might come after me. Once I was outside, I sprinted to my car and sped off. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely steer. I didn't stop until I was back at my friend's apartment. When I told them what had happened, they laughed. "You're being dramatic," one of them said. "Probably just her roommates messing with you. Or maybe she was actually into group stuff," another chimed in. I forced a smile, but I couldn't shake the feeling. Something wasn't right. Later that night, I was lying on the couch, trying to forget the whole thing, when my phone buzzed. "Zelma, where did you go? I've been waiting for you all night." I didn't reply. I blocked her. Round pushpin. Weeks passed. I didn't talk about it again. Not because I forgot, but because I didn't want to admit how badly it had shaken me. But then in late January, I got a message on Instagram from a random account. No profile picture. No posts. Just one DM. "You shouldn't have left." I blocked it immediately. That night, I double-locked my apartment door for the first time in years. It's strange how quickly your heart can go from numb to blazing. After my breakup, I didn't think I'd feel anything for a long time. 6 years with someone, you don't just bounce back. You drift. I spent months in that haze, barely talking to anyone unless I had to. My friends tried to pull me back into the dating pool, but I didn't have the stomach for it. I wasn't the guy who could just start swiping and find a connection again. That part of me felt broken. But loneliness has a way of wearing you down. Eventually, I downloaded Tinder, not because I believed in it, but because I needed something. A distraction. A spark. Even a bad date would be better than sitting alone every night with leftover takeout and Netflix reruns. Most of the matches didn't go anywhere. A few shallow chats, one awkward meetup that ended with a fake work emergency, and a silent, unmatched screen. I was ready to delete the app when I matched with her. Maria. She had this smile that didn't look filtered or rehearsed. Her photos weren't overly posed. One of them was her in a hoodie, hair messy, holding a cat like it was a baby. Her bio just said, "I like lakes. And secrets." I messaged her. "Okay, but do you tell them or keep them?" She replied, "Depends on who's asking." We talked for hours that first night. Then the next. She was funny, quick-witted, and had this soft, flirtatious edge that made me feel alive again. She asked questions, real ones, about my childhood, my fears, the weird dreams I kept having. No one had asked me things like that in years. After a few days, we agreed to meet in person. Maria suggested a park near the lake, one of those places with winding trails and a big pavilion where people had picnics in the summer. It was public enough to feel safe, but secluded enough to feel intimate. We set the time, 5 p.m., just after work. Early evening light, cool air, the kind of golden hour that makes everything look better than it really is. I got there first and parked near the trailhead. A few minutes later, I saw her walking toward the pavilion. It was her, the girl from the photos, real and even more disarming in person. She wore a long cardigan and boots, her hair braided loosely over one shoulder. She smiled when she saw me, and I swear, something inside me cracked open. "You're taller than I thought," she said as we hugged. "You're realer than I thought," I replied. We sat at a picnic table and talked for over an hour. The conversation flowed like we'd known each other in another life. She teased me about my flannel. I teased her about the way she pronounced bagel. There was something magnetic between us, some kind of current that pulled us closer, even as we tried to play it cool. As the sun dipped lower, she suggested we walk the trail around the lake. Normally, I'd be cautious about walking in the woods with someone I just met online, but with Maria, I didn't feel afraid. She made me feel calm, safe, even when we stepped into the shadows of the trees. We walked side by side, sometimes brushing hands, sometimes holding them. The path looped around the lake in a wide arc, with just enough moonlight breaking through the canopy to keep us from losing our way. It was peaceful, until it wasn't. We were maybe 10 minutes from the main lot when I saw someone. A man, standing dead still on the trail ahead of us, maybe 20 yards away. He wasn't moving, just watching. I stopped walking. Maria did too. "You see him?" I whispered. She nodded. "Yeah." She stepped forward and called out, "Hey, you okay?" The man didn't answer, didn't flinch. I felt the hair on my arms rise. "Let's turn around." Maria hesitated, then nodded. But just as we started backing away, the man stepped forward, and I saw it. A knife, long, reflective, held low against his thigh. "Turn around," he barked. "Hands up." I froze. My brain couldn't process it. This wasn't happening. This was a date. This was supposed to be the beginning of something beautiful. Maria looked at me, and then did something I never expected. She charged him. Without a word, she sprinted toward the man, shoulder low, moving fast. She slammed into him with everything she had, knocking him sideways into the brush. The knife clattered to the ground. "Run," she screamed. I didn't argue. I grabbed her hand as she scrambled up, and we bolted. Off the trail, through the trees, ducking branches and slipping on wet leaves. I could hear him behind us, his footsteps crashing through the woods, not even trying to be quiet. We hit the parking lot like we'd been shot out of a cannon. Maria's car was closer than mine. We dove in, slammed the doors, locked them, and peeled out. Neither of us spoke for a minute. Just gasps, shaking hands, the sound of tires on gravel. When I looked in the rearview mirror, I saw him, standing there, backlit by the moon, alone, watching us drive away. Round Pushpin. We called the cops once we were a few miles down the road, told them everything. They arrived at the park within 15 minutes. The man was gone. They found the knife where he'd dropped it. No prints, no ID, just a trail of footsteps that vanished near the edge of the woods. There had been other cars in the lot when we left, 3, maybe 4, but when the police arrived, only mine was still there. We gave our statements. Maria's hands were still trembling. My voice cracked more than once. But the officers were kind. They took it seriously. Afterward, we didn't want to go home. Neither of us wanted to be alone. We found a 24-hour diner and sat in a booth until sunrise, talking about everything. What had just happened, what could have happened. How close we came to something we didn't even have a name for. I remember her reaching across the table to touch my hand. "I've never done anything like that," she whispered. You saved me, I said. We smiled, but there was something behind it. Something raw. There's a strange confidence that comes with wearing a badge. When I first joined the force at 21, I felt it immediately, that low hum of invincibility. The quiet belief that I could handle anything, anyone. That I was the one who would run toward the danger, not away from it. But that was before Sivya. Before the field. Before I learned that sometimes, being trained doesn't make you ready. I had just come off a difficult breakup when I downloaded Tinder. The app felt like a lifeline, something to distract me from the silence that waited every time I walked into my apartment. I wasn't looking for love, just connection. A pulse. That's when I matched with her. Sivya. She was stunning in a way that didn't make sense. Long black hair, sharp cheekbones, this piercing look that made it feel like she already knew your secrets. Her bio was short. Come watch the stars with me. I messaged her something stupid. She replied with something smarter. We clicked immediately. Over the next few days, we talked constantly. She was flirtatious, but not desperate. Confident. She told me she lived a little outside of town, on her family's property, and that her favorite thing was to lie in the field behind the house and stare at the sky. You'd like it, she told me. No noise. Just the stars. Just us. We agreed to meet on a Friday night. I picked her up just after 9. She slid into the passenger seat wearing a black hoodie and jeans, casual but magnetic. She smelled like cardamom and cigarette smoke. I told her it suited her. She smiled but said nothing. She directed me down a long dirt road, past rusted gates and fields dotted with tall grass. The moon was out, full and bright, casting silver across everything. It was the kind of night that made you believe something important was about to happen. When we got to the field, I parked by the edge of the woods. It was quiet, isolated, almost too perfect. She led me to a blanket she'd laid out earlier. We lay down, shoulder to shoulder, staring at the sky. For a while, it was everything she promised. Beautiful. Still. We talked about meaningless things, bad dates, old songs, the way time seems to stretch when you're happy. I felt myself relax in a way I hadn't in months. Then I saw it. Headlights. Distant at first, but moving toward us, slow, deliberate. A van, creeping along the edge of the field. I sat up. You expecting someone? Sivya looked confused. No. The van kept coming. No sign of stopping. It was lined up head-on with my truck, like it intended to block us in. Stay here, I told her. My voice was too firm. Too practiced. My cop voice. I walked toward the van, hand instinctively brushing over the concealed pistol under my flannel. The driver rolled down the window. A man sat there. Mid-50s. Big. His face was round but tight, like a balloon about to pop. Evenin', he said, voice low, almost friendly. This is private property. I figured, I said. She told me it was her family's place. He glanced past me toward Sivya. You know her? I do. He nodded slowly. We've had trouble lately. Poachers. Weirdos. Just making sure everything's okay. I didn't relax. We're just here to stargaze. He smiled, nodded again, and drove off. No threat. No escalation. Just gone. But when I returned to the blanket, something was different. Sivya was on her phone. Texting. Rapidly. I sat down beside her. Who are you talking to? She didn't answer. Sivya. She looked up, her expression unreadable. I just got nervous. I didn't believe her. But I didn't push it. Not yet. We sat in silence, our backs to the sky. An hour passed. Then the headlights returned. Same van. Faster this time. I jumped to my feet, heart pounding. The van skidded to a stop inches from my front bumper, blocking any escape. Sivya didn't hesitate. She ran toward the van. I watched her climb into the passenger seat like she'd done it 100 times. That's when it clicked. The whole thing was a setup. I pulled the pistol from my belt and moved toward the van. Out. Now, I said, voice sharp. The man opened the door and stepped out, hands raised. Whoa. Easy. On the ground. Sivya followed slowly. She wasn't scared. She wasn't confused. Just watching. Then she said something I'll never forget. He's got money. He's a cop. We can't let him leave. The man, Bob, I learned later, lunged at me. I fired once into the dirt beside his foot. He stopped. But Sivya didn't. She reached into the van and pulled out a metal pipe. Drop it! I yelled. She didn't. Drop it! She paused. Then, as if something broke inside her, she started crying. We don't want to hurt you. Just give us the truck. The cash. You'll walk away. I raised the gun. Last chance. Bob grabbed her. Let's go. They ran, into the trees, into the dark. I didn't chase them. I called it in. When my sergeant arrived, he rolled his eyes. You called us? I was off duty, I said. He laughed. You are the police. But the joke didn't last. Because when we searched the van, we found more than a pipe. Inside were handcuffs, a bottle of lighter fluid, a stained blanket, duct tape, a hunting knife, and an AR-15, partially disassembled in the back. There were bloodstains on the passenger seat. Old. Dried. My sergeant didn't laugh after that. I never saw Sylvia again. Her profile vanished the next day. Bob was never caught. The van was reported stolen from a town 3 hours away. The plates were fake. The gun had no serial number. I met Cale on a Tuesday. He wasn't my usual type. His photos weren't overly polished. One showed him in a faded hoodie, another holding a dog that looked like it hated him. But his eyes, there was something about them. Calm. A little mischievous. Like he knew more than he let on. His first message was simple. Red or white? I answered. Depends on who's pouring. We clicked fast. He was funny, dry, and asked thoughtful questions. Not just the usual Tinder small talk. He wanted to know what books I read, what I dreamed about, what I did when no one was looking. For our first 2 dates, we kept it light. Coffee. A walk by the river. Nothing intense. But the chemistry was there, undeniable, simmering just beneath the surface. When he touched my wrist lightly while laughing, I felt it in my stomach. When he looked at me too long, I forgot what I was saying. So when he invited me over to his place for wine on our 3rd date, I said yes. I didn't even hesitate. His house was quiet. Clean. Too clean, maybe, but I wasn't looking for red flags. I was looking at him. The way his shirt clung to his chest. The way he poured the wine without asking. The way he watched me as I took that first sip. We sat on his couch, the lights low, music playing softly from a speaker in the corner. It was one of those nights that felt scripted. Warm. Private. Charged. We talked about nothing and everything, bad dates, old friendships, what we'd do if we could disappear for a week. He leaned in close when I spoke, eyes locked on mine. I remember thinking, I could fall for this guy. The wine was smooth. Sweet. Just a little too sweet. About 20 minutes in, I started to feel it. Not drunk. Not tipsy. Heavy. My arms felt like they belonged to someone else. My head buzzed, not in a warm way, but like I was underwater. I blinked too slowly. My words started to tangle together. And suddenly I knew. I knew what this was. At a party during sophomore year, I had been roofied. It had only taken 15 minutes then, and the symptoms were exactly the same. That sinking, syrupy gravity pulling me toward unconsciousness. Panic hit me hard, but I didn't show it. I smiled. I laughed at something stupid he said. I asked if I could use the bathroom. He smiled back, casual. Down the hall, to the left. I stood, legs wobbling beneath me like stilts on ice. I made it to the bathroom and locked the door with shaking fingers. My hands were already going numb. I pulled out my phone and called 911. Help, I whispered. I've been drugged. I'm in a house. I don't know what's going to happen. They asked for the address. I gave it. Barely. They told me to stay where I was and keep the door locked. Then everything went dark. I woke up in flashes. Voices. Lights. Hands carrying me. A bag over my head. At first I panicked, thinking it was Cale moving me, hiding me. But then I heard the radios. The urgent, calm voices. Police. They were the ones who carried me out. I don't remember how long I was unconscious. Maybe an hour. Maybe more. But I remember waking up fully in the hospital, with a saline drip in my arm and a detective at the end of my bed. Her name was Agent Rivas. She looked tired but sharp. You're safe, she said. I asked her about the bag. She hesitated, then said, we didn't want you to see what was in the living room. 3 days later, I went to the station to make my statement. I asked what they'd found. Rivas looked at me for a long time before answering. There were preparations. Things he'd set up in the room for you. You don't need to know what they were. But trust me, it's better that you didn't see. I think about that often. What would I have seen if I hadn't locked that bathroom door? What did Cale have planned? He's in jail now, awaiting trial, facing multiple charges. They found more than just drugs in his house. They found photos, notes, a journal. I was not supposed to be his first, but I was the first to get out.